They came, they looked, they saw. Prospective home buyers looking at homes they hope to own. Homes offered by builder Kaufman and Broad. Homes offered for no money down. It's an offer the builder hopes will get renters to become first-time buyers.
We've been looking at surveys and our information along with the Fannie Mae survey that shows that 65% of renters can't get into the home buying market because of a down payment. So this program was created to help the first-time home buyer get into the market.
These homes are in the Santa Clarita Valley, one of dozens of communities in California, Nevada, Colorado, and Arizona, where the builder's zero-down program is being offered. Although buyers will get homes on a first-come, first-served basis, there are some qualifications.
We can go through a qualification procedure, asking them standard questions about income, ability to pay, and to see if they fit the qualification in this program, and if not, there will be some other financing programs that we have available.
About 200 homes will be available in the Zero Down program, with most of them here in California.
You know, we saw the paper, we saw Zero Down, well, let's go for it.
How long have you been in apartment living?
Well, actually, no, we rent the house. We always rented a house.
How long have you been renters?
Oh, God, since I'm here in California, 14 years.
So it would be nice to get your own place.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Especially, you know, since we have the little baby.
The Zero Down program starts at 10 tomorrow morning. Remember, first come, first served. And in the Santa Clarita Valley, only 15 homes will be available, from $185,000 to $227,000. In the Santa Clarita Valley, Angela Estelle, Channel 5, News at 10.
About 1,400 passengers arrived at San Pedro Harbor to find a festive mood. Along with their luggage, travelers brought with them a sense of humor.
We're on a Montezuma ship.
We're going to have a great time.
But just in case, we have like rice-a-roni, we got our own drinks, we got bottled water.
But last week, few people were laughing. The Viking Serenade was in the middle of a 4-day cruise when 583 of the 1,730 passengers complained of nausea, diarrhea, and fever. One passenger later died. The Center for Disease Control identified the disease as shigellosis, a bacteria usually spread through contact with feces, either via food or personal contact.
We have taken every precaution plus extra precautions that the Centers for Disease Control told us to do. We've gone the extra mile.
The Viking Serenade stayed docked at San Pedro Harbor for a whole week. The Center for Disease Control ordered the kitchen area be cleaned thoroughly. Employees have been ordered to wash with a different soap and to wear gloves when handling food.
I think everything is very sterile. All the waiters have the plastic gloves on, and we've had full lunch and drinks, and it seems like they're really being careful with the sterile gloves.
Just in case, passengers on the ship were given this questionnaire. They are asked to fill it out if they feel any of the symptoms associated with shigellosis. Royal Caribbean officials hope they won't need the questionnaire, that this time it's smooth sailing. In San Pedro, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10. Drug enforcement agents with the State Department of Justice spent most of this afternoon chopping, dragging, and transporting marijuana trees that grew as large as 20 feet high. This in an area just east of the 57 freeway in Diamond Bar.
This is very unique to be in an urban environment with this many plants.
It was a find that drug enforcement agents happened to stumble into as they were flying over the hillside last Wednesday, but one of the largest farms in California nonetheless. Officials estimate there are about 5,000 trees in the 12-acre area, a farm with an overall value close to $50 million. Police say these marijuana gardens had probably been here a number of years because they had plenty of sun, access to water, and they had coverage with brush and oak trees. The trees served as a camouflage for what police call a very sophisticated operation. There were 3 gardens. Each had bedroom quarters, showers, and even kitchens. Police arrested 5 suspects on the scene.
These 5 individuals, at least, were living in the site, and some ammunition was found. We haven't located any weapons yet. Some surveillance devices were found.
It's one of the most sophisticated, the way they've laid out the gardens and tended to them and tried to do the camouflage and everything. The people knew what they were doing.
The suspects, all undocumented immigrants, face a variety of felony charges. In Diamond Bar, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.
Investigators say it was about 10:40 in the evening when a man armed with a .38 caliber handgun walked into the Carson Sheriff Station and shot a deputy here.
There was some sort of verbal exchange between he and the officer in which he was given some sort of instructions after he asked a question. And immediately following that, opened fire on our deputy who was standing behind the counter. The deputy was struck through and through wound in one arm, the bullet passing through and striking him in the other arm and lodging there.
2 other deputies who were present shot the armed suspect in the chest. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He's been identified as 25-year-old Robert Almeida of Carson. So far, no motive has yet emerged for the shooting attack. But the coroner has ordered toxicological tests to determine if Almeida was under the influence of alcohol or some other drug at the time of the shooting. The deputy injured in the shooting, 25-year-old Robert Frank, is reported in good condition at an undisclosed hospital. He's scheduled to undergo surgery Monday for the bullet wounds he sustained to each of his arms. Meanwhile, his co-workers here at the Carson station say they're relieved his injuries weren't more serious.
That threat exists in law enforcement no matter where you are, no matter what you do. When you do your job, you attempt to do it as safely as possible.
Now it's business as usual at the Carson station. The only evidence of the shooting, bullet holes in the glass behind the counter area. The deputies here say their job is to serve the public and no additional safety precautions will be taken because of the shooting. Now investigators are trying to learn why it happened. In Carson, Willa Sandmeyer, Channel 5, News at 10.
The average car buyer can spend days or even months visiting different car dealerships, listening to different pitches, and still end up uninformed when they sign on the dotted line.
The consumer that was looking for a new vehicle was really going in blind when they walked into a new car showroom.
Now, by simply inserting a disc and clicking a computer mouse, the consumer can access a wide range of information about cars. From comparing different models for you to giving you the value of your used car. Let's say you want to spend $20,000 on your new automobile. You want airbags and you'd prefer a 4-door model. The computer will tell you how many cars fit these specifications and give you all kinds of information from whether it has front-wheel drive to how many passengers it carries. And who needs a test drive when this product, which is being called Automania, can show you how a car drives? Unfortunately, the disc is not available yet. It will go on sale for $49.95 at computer stores beginning October 31st, just in time for the end of the year car sales. In Los Angeles, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.
Defense attorney Johnny Cochran and trial consultant Jo Ellen Demetrius headed for another meeting with Judge Lance Ito. Their purpose? To lay the groundwork for the continued questioning of jurors, with each side, of course, looking for jurors who will favor their position.
It's very difficult to stack the deck when you're dealing with a jury. What we do is we don't select jurors, we deselect the worst jurors for us, so that essentially what we'll be doing is deselecting our worst jurors, and the prosecution will be doing the same thing.
Our goal, Demetrius said, is to look for people's real feelings. Some of those real feelings will come from this 78-page juror questionnaire. It is literally loaded with questions about the media, racism, interracial marriage, domestic violence, and more. Among the 294 questions, how big a problem do you think racial discrimination against African Americans is in Southern California? What are your feelings about interracial marriage? Based upon your feeling toward O.J. Simpson, are you inclined to believe him not guilty of the crimes with which he has been charged? In what has gotten to be a rare appearance before the media, a smiling Marcia Clark gave her description of the perfect juror.
A very fair and impartial person who can disregard what they see on the TV and in the newspapers, on the newsstands, and listen to the evidence they hear in court, decide the case based on that evidence.
Clark said it's taken her as long as 1 hour to go over just one questionnaire, meaning the lawyers for both sides will have a lot of reading and analysis to do before oral questioning of the prospective jurors begins on October 12th.
We just want to get people who, in their hearts, can look us in the eye and say, I want to be fair, I can be fair, I can spend this time in this search for truth, and I'll do that.
At the Criminal Courts Building in Los Angeles, Ron Olson, Channel 5, News at 10.
No, I think they're all important, and I think what will happen when you see the questions, you'll get a sense of what's important to us. I guess we're blocking that door, so okay, guys, thank you.
It was a beefed-up Border Patrol in action today, beefed up with added personnel, new vehicles, new lights, and added fencing in areas where illegal border crossings from Mexico to California are commonplace. Tonight is the beginning of Operation Gatekeeper, a new federal effort to halt the flow of illegal immigrants into the state.
This Operation Gatekeeper is tying everything that we have been working on for the past 18 months. We're bringing in the additional resources, we have the personnel, we're tying in the fences, the lights, the technology.
By land and by sea, the number of agents assigned to the border has doubled under Gatekeeper. Yesterday, the San Clemente checkpoint was closed temporarily while agents work at the border, and more will join them in coming months.
The smugglers, these are the bad guys. Our main concern right now is not from the illegal aliens so much as it is with the smuggler of these aliens, the coyote.
Anyone caught crossing the border will be fingerprinted and their name put in a computer. This is an element of Operation Gatekeeper.
Takes a picture, takes a photograph of this individual in about 2 shakes. Before you know it, we have his fingerprints and we have his photograph. This is going to be the best thing and one of the biggest deterrents that we ever had.
Up until tonight, the INS has made about 1,100 arrests in a 24-hour period for illegal border crossings. But with double the agents and all the new equipment, INS officials hope that number drops by about 90%. At the San Ysidro border crossing, Angela Estelle, Channel 5, News at 10.
An elated group of doctors and hospital employees greeted Governor Pete Wilson this afternoon as they opened the doors to St. John's Hospital for the first time in almost 9 months.
How are you?
The January 17th earthquake seriously damaged the hospital, forcing the evacuation of patients and placing about 2,000 staff members on indefinite leave. Today, as Governor Wilson cut the red ribbon celebrating the grand reopening, he was also given credit for cutting bureaucratic red tape, allowing the swift rebuilding of the hospital's facility. But while the governor celebrates another step forward in the earthquake recovery process here in Santa Monica, up in Northridge, near the epicenter of the earthquake, residents aren't celebrating. Marla and Sandy Wise are one couple out of hundreds of Northridge residents still unable to move into their heavily damaged home. They blame a complicated insurance system and Governor Pete Wilson for recently vetoing a bill called the Homeowners Bill of Rights.
Governor Wilson, when you vetoed that homeowner bill of rights and the tax break bill, you took away our ability to effectively negotiate with the insurance companies.
I just got back from Northridge where some homeowners were concerned about your vetoing the homeowners bill of rights. What can you say to them today?
Exactly what I said in the veto message. I think it was very clear. Why don't we do this later?
Wilson never did get back to us. He left immediately after the ceremony. But in his veto message, he said there were some fatal defects in the bill and that prosecutors and firefighters opposed the bill because it could hurt fraught probes. In Northridge,
I was born here 29 years ago, yesterday, in fact, and my son was born 4 years ago. And it's really important for me to come back here because it's a great hospital.
Such a great hospital that Michelle and Sam Onda came back one more time, hoping their next child would be the first to mark the grand reopening of this 52-year-old hospital. The January 17th earthquake cracked the walls and the confidence of doctors and patients here at St. John's Hospital. About 200 patients were evacuated 2 days after the disaster. 1,000 employees were left without jobs. Dr. John Robertson was in surgery when the hospital evacuated.
We were operating on an 85-year-old man who had a heart attack in Los Angeles with the earthquake, and we took him to the operating room, and last thing we knew is we started to evacuate the building.
Now, almost 9 months later, these braces are supplying some added support to the main wing. Administrators say they should withhold a much stronger earthquake. Michelle Onda's confidence is also firm. Matthew James was born 2 hours after she arrived at the hospital.
Yeah, we were keeping our fingers crossed and our legs crossed so that we could be the first, and we made it.
Matthew James should have some company in that nursery pretty soon. 2 other deliveries were scheduled for today. The hospital is expected to be filled to capacity in a couple of months. In Santa Monica, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10. This was the scene last night. A total of 6 water main breaks were reported on or around Hollywood Boulevard and under the Hollywood Freeway. DWP crews arrived on the scene shortly after and have so far managed to repair 3 water mains. The mains, which supply water to local businesses and residences, were 12 to 6 inches in diameter. A spokesperson for DWP said the breaks were caused by a malfunctioning regulator, not construction of the Metro Red Line. But Joe Shea of the Ivar Hill Community Association isn't convinced.
What we're really anxious to find out is whether or not these waterline breaks, which have occurred all the way from Argyle here, 3 blocks over to Wilcox, and 5 or 6 different areas from Franklin Avenue down to Hollywood Boulevard, are related to Metro Rail construction. If they are, we want to know if the tunnels have been flooded, and whether or not that creates a new problem. And we want to know how long the water is going to be off, because there's an awful lot of businesses in this neighborhood who say they're going to have to shut down if they don't have water tomorrow.
Antiques, family heirlooms, jewelry, and credit cards. These are some of the items police accuse this woman of stealing from the elderly. Her name is Sandra Kosla. She allegedly used phony credentials to get jobs as a live-in healthcare worker.
She'd provide a home service anywhere from a week to, in some cases, 4 weeks. It was during those visits to the house that she would wind up, what we believe is stealing many, if not most, of the items that we have on display here today.
Police arrested Kosla late last week after a 92-year-old woman accused her of stealing this wedding ring off her finger as she slept. In Kosla's motel room and a storage locker, police found about $100,000 worth of property.
Many items of obvious antique value, from very extravagant-looking grandfather clocks to very antique pocket knives, pocket watches, things of that nature.
Police say Kosla used several aliases, including Ciacino, Pam Green, Sandra Hope, and Sandra Hayes, as she worked in California, Arizona, and Utah for about a year. 91-year-old Mac Burt says Kosla worked for him for 4 days last month. When she left, several items were missing.
I didn't see her take anything. So I can't stand up in court and say that she was the one that took it. But I would wager that she had something to do with it.
Now that a suspect is in custody, police hope by displaying Kosla's picture and the recovered items, more victims will come forward, press charges, and identify their property. In Orange County, Angela Estelle, Channel 5, News at 10.
The robbery happened at this home about 7 in the evening, while an extended family of 8 was eating dinner. Investigators say 5 to 6 armed men suddenly burst in through an unlocked sliding glass door and ordered everyone to lie on the floor.
Then they tied them up using duct tape and telephone cord. They took clothing, jewelry, and undisclosed amount of money.
The victims, Vietnamese immigrants, were not physically harmed in the robbery. They say the suspects talked to them in Vietnamese. The family who lives here didn't want to talk about their ordeal on camera. The robbers had threatened to come back and kill them if they even reported the crime to police. But off camera, one woman said the robbers had ordered her at gunpoint to open the family safe they had found and threatened to kill her if she didn't. While the robbery was underway, an 8-year-old girl walked into the home. She lived in a house behind this one and was looking for a young friend. What happened after the robbers tied you up? What happened next?
They say be quiet, and they say my neighbor to open the place where jewelry is.
The girl's father says the suspects also robbed their home, located at the rear of the same property. The robbers left after about an hour. The victims managed to untie themselves and call police. The suspects are described only as Asian males. They had covered their faces to just below their eyes with their shirts. Investigators say a similar robbery occurred in Rosemead just 3 days ago, but at this time the two crimes don't appear related. In South El Monte, Willa Sandmeyer, Channel 5, News at 10.
The fast-moving brush fire originated on Agua Dulce Canyon Road, 1 mile south of the Antelope Valley Freeway. The 5-acre blaze was fueled by Santa Ana winds blowing at more than 20 miles an hour, and it quickly raged out of control, blackening 100 acres, then 500, and finally more than 1,000.
With the dry brush and the wind moving it right along, as you can see, it just blew up into a major fire.
At one point, the fire crossed over the freeway, sending black smoke into the sky and making it almost impossible to drive. Officials finally closed down the Antelope Valley Freeway, and for hours it looked like a parking lot. Commuters were rerouted onto Sierra Highway.
Okay, we're going to bring this fire across when these guys are through cutting this line here.
More than 1,000 firefighters battled the blaze, a fire that at one point threatened the homes in the sparsely populated area. Although no one was asked to evacuate, the fire came very close to this man's home. Firefighters were pretty confident that they'd have this blaze fully under control by the end of the day, as long as the wind didn't change directions on them. But they were also painfully aware that last year's devastating fires happened under the same windy, dry conditions. Near Agua Dulce, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.
After several defense setbacks last week regarding evidence suppression, prosecutors and lawyers for O.J. Simpson will return to court Tuesday. At that time, Judge Lance Ito will continue to hear arguments from the defense DNA experts who have accused the prosecution of withholding crucial information about DNA testing.
We shouldn't have a trial by ambush. It should be a proceeding whereby the truth is ascertained and both sides have an opportunity to examine and scrutinize the evidence.
The defense will again try to persuade the judge to throw out evidence collected in searches of the former football great's Ford Bronco. Also this week, for the first time, potential jurors for the case will be questioned by both sides. The number of potential jurors will be reduced to less than 100, with both sides hoping to seat what they consider the ideal juror.
They will subject them to questioning led by the judge and participated in to some degree by the attorneys, and to try to ferret out whom they think is the best qualified to serve, or in pragmatic terms, who is most likely to give them the verdict they want.
Once the jury is seated, a hearing on the admissibility of DNA evidence will begin. It could take up to a month to conclude, with the defense expected to attack the handling of blood evidence by the crime scene investigators.
O.J. comment on the Buffalo Bills win today at all?
He was happy about that.
Meanwhile, at the men's central jail today, O.J. Simpson was visited by his assistant, Kathy Randa, and her attorney. Simpson's girlfriend, Paula Barbieri, also paid him a visit. The weekend's most bizarre development took place here in Brentwood, outside the condo where the murders took place. A window was broken. When officers arrived, they found 31-year-old Mark Street of Vista, California, on the ground in front of Nicole Brown Simpson's front door. He told officers he was upset about the double murder. He was taken for psychiatric evaluation and will likely be charged with trespassing. In Brentwood, Angela Estelle, Channel 5, News at 10.
It was a devastating fire that took the lives of a young mother and several children last month. Experts say the occupants of the Southgate home made one fatal mistake.
Smoke detectors, had they been working, may have been able to make a difference in getting the family out of the house.
But it is not only enough to simply own a smoke detector. The biggest mistake people make is not making sure that they are working. Experts suggest that you change the batteries on the smoke detector every 6 to 12 months.
When you inspect them, which you should do monthly, you want to make sure that you look around the smoke detector and see that there isn't dust that's accumulated that may hamper the smoke being able to get into the sensing unit.
It is also important not only to have a smoke detector, but to have a plan of escape before the fire starts. Be familiar with your surroundings, know at least 2 ways out of your room, and select a common meeting place so you can count heads after the evacuation. The placement of the smoke detector is also very important. Officials say it should be placed in the middle of the room at the highest point away from vents. That way it'll do what it's supposed to do, that is, detect smoke and save lives. In Los Angeles, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.
It was a wide-ranging debate here in Sacramento with personal attacks and disagreements on crime, the budget, and an especially heated discussion on Proposition 187, the measure to cut services to illegal immigrants.
I say we must end services to illegal immigrants. The treasurer refuses to do that. She is afraid of alienating what she thinks is a major voting bloc. And in fact, she calls those of us who are in support of Proposition 187 racist immigrant bashers.
As a senator, he wrote what's called the Wilson Amendment that opened up the floodgates, letting in 1.3 million illegal immigrants into this country. And why did he do it? Because he got $600,000 from his rich corporate special interests, and they wanted cheap labor.
After the hour-long debate, the candidates went to the newsroom and talked with reporters. Treasurer Brown challenged the governor to another debate.
I challenge the governor to another debate. I think that the public and the people of California deserve to have at least one more debate in order to have a full airing of the issues facing the future of California.
Governor Wilson said he felt great about the debate. Also said he was disappointed by Treasurer Brown's name-calling.
I have been surprised and disappointed throughout the campaign. I think that it is unfortunate that she feels necessary to do that. Perhaps it is frustration, perhaps it is desperation.
So the debate is over. Now it's back to the campaign trail. Governor Wilson will be campaigning here in Sacramento tomorrow, then flying to Los Angeles for appearances in Orange County. Treasurer Brown goes to the Bay Area and then down to Southern California for appearances out in the San Fernando Valley. And only 25 more days before the election. That's the report from Sacramento. Stan Chambers reporting. Across the street from Metro Rail construction at the seedy, rundown corner of Hollywood and Western is a building listed as an historic landmark. It's empty, trashed, filled with debris, and in total disrepair. This was once the home of the Producers Association, Central Casting, and the Will Hayes office that censored Hollywood films. It has the oldest pool room in the city. It's an empty ghost room now. And this boarded-up building is famous for drug deals. It's been taken over by what are called tweakers, drug street people on speed. Doug Carlton of Save Hollywood Now says they are gone now, and there's a campaign underway to try to save this historic building.
What we want to do first is open this up to the public Saturday and Sunday from 2 to 5. You can come on down and look at the place and help us out clean it, because there's like 30 tons of trash.
Doug Carlton says there are 40 other abandoned buildings like this that the tweakers have taken over. The tweakers are on speed. They're up for days at a time. They have to have something to do. They scribble on the wall. They dismantle television sets and stereos and radios. They're hyper. Well, the tweakers have taken over. That's the Hollywood drug right now. They've taken over this building. Doug Carlton thinks that he can save it. He's kept them out of here for 3 days. He hopes he continue to do so. It's a problem for Hollywood, but Doug Carlton wants to save this building. Stan Chambers, Channel 5 News at 10.
The incident began around 1:30 this morning in this Garden Grove parking lot where a 24-year-old woman had just argued with her male companion. She then accepted a ride home from a stranger driving a pickup truck. About 2 miles away, 41-year-old Edward Estrada was using a payphone in a shopping center when he saw the woman struggle to exit the truck.
Right about at the front door of merchandise there, the door flies open, she flies out, does 2 somersaults and lands and hits right on the back of her head. I thought she broke her neck.
The woman ran to Estrada and pleaded for help. The driver of the truck also ran up to Estrada.
He wanted to ram me with the gun, with the rifle around this area, so I grabbed it and I straight armed to pull it away from me. And then he started playing tug of war. I said, hey man, if I pull, his fingers on the trigger is going to go off anyway, so I let go.
During the struggle, the woman ran away. After that, so too did the assailant. Estrada says he doesn't know if he would have gotten involved had he seen the shotgun.
It sounds like this gentleman, this guy who intervened, Mr. Estrada, risked his life for a complete stranger. Is that what happened?
Definitely. He was very lucky. Could have been killed.
Police have arrested 37-year-old Sylvester Herrera of Santa Ana. He's being charged with attempted kidnapping and assault with a deadly weapon. From Garden Grove, this is Fred Villanueva, Channel 5 News at 10.
Are you ready? Timers. Timers, take your marks. Are you ready? Timers. Timers, take your marks.
It's an experience movie lovers used to be able to appreciate only at the theater. But nowadays, the home entertainment business is booming. So you would say business is what?
Very good.
Very good, because the technology is becoming more and more affordable.
If they already have a TV and a VCR, most likely about $1,500 would be the entry-level price.
This Malibu home, however, is not entry-level. It is equipped with only the best. The sophisticated system consists of a Laserdisc player with twice the resolution of a VCR, an audiovisual receiver, and an intricate speaker system that disappears into the walls. The projector is discreetly hidden inside a cabinet that opens with a push of a button, and the 10-foot screen miraculously rolls down.
You can hide things quite well these days. Speakers don't have to be that big anymore. A lot of things can be built in.
But if you want this theater experience in the comfort of your own bedroom, it won't come cheap. All this high-quality equipment will run you at least $30,000. In Malibu, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.
It happened just before 3 this morning. Police say a man walked into this Arco AM/PM mini-mart with a .22 caliber handgun and demanded money from the store clerk.
He produced a weapon and ordered the clerk to open the cash register. At this time, the suspect removed some cash. As soon as this was over, he ordered the clerk into the back room.
Police say when the two men got to the back room, the suspect pushed the store clerk. Shots were fired, and when it was over, the suspect was dead.
The clerk was in fear of his life, so he produced a handgun of his own. They began to struggle over his handgun. At this time, several shots were fired, which struck the suspect in the upper torso, and he died at the scene.
The employee involved in the shooting wasn't available to talk to us today, and no one working tonight wanted to talk on camera about the incident. However, customers we spoke to said better the clerk shot the suspected robber than the other way around.
Oh, I think it's great, personally. I mean, so many people are doing so much crime and getting away with it, and I mean, you gotta take it into your own hands personally. That's what I think.
To be honest with you, I think if somebody came in and robbed me and I was defending myself, I would have done the same thing.
You just probably is going to try to defend yourself, and in the process, if you happen to kill a person, you may feel bad, but then what else can you do?
It is an incident that has been haunting parents in Pasadena. Last year, a Halloween night of trick-or-treating turned into a real-life nightmare for some teenagers.
I was a kid and remember how we could go neighborhood to neighborhood, but it's just not safe anymore.
These images remain very vivid. A group of teenage boys walking home, ambushed by gunmen. When the gunfire stopped, 3 of the boys were dead, their bags of candy nearby.
I think fear may be strong. I think concern, yes.
There is concern. The 3 suspects in last year's shooting may be behind bars, but the gang they allegedly belong to is still very visible in Pasadena. Last Friday night, another shooting at a party left 1 man dead, and police say members of that same gang were present.
Yeah, they're a local gang, but and they were involved in the triple homicide last year. Some of their members. Their involvement in Friday night's incident it's premature at this point.
Nevertheless, police and city officials are giving youngsters another option this year. Sure, they can go trick-or-treating if they want, but why not come to a bash thrown by the city? It'll be right outside City Hall, and it will be complete with music, a haunted house, and a costume contest.
Try to be smart when you celebrate Halloween, and I don't think going door to door in 1994 is the way to do it.
Organizers aren't saying this event is in direct response to last year's tragedy, but they are hoping this Halloween children will come to the city's party and not go trick-or-treating on their own. In Pasadena, Tina Plaza, Channel 5, News at 10.